Hi, everyone. I hope you're having a great Tuesday. We are going to be diving into author's purpose today. And we're going to be, you'll notice we're shifting genres. So last week and yesterday, you worked a lot with fiction, various types of fiction. You worked with some poetry, you worked with some realistic fiction, you worked with some historical fiction. This week, we're going to be turning our attention on reviewing fourth grade skills, but applying them to nonfiction. So, as we are reading various genres, we always want to be keeping author's purpose in our minds. Because as good readers, we need to understand why the author is writing what they're writing. So, if you think about yourself as a writer, you are an author. You are an author every day. If you think about why you might write a text or why you are doing your schoolwork or why you're passing a note to a friend, you're doing those things for very different reasons. And authors write for very different reasons as well. So you may have heard the little author's pie trick that says author's purpose is as easy as pie. So you see those first three letters there spell pie, and those stand for persuade, inform, and entertain. So in second, third, and sometimes fourth grade, you really focus on those three reasons for authors writing. And as a quick review of those, persuade, remember, means that an author is trying to convince us of something. Sometimes an author is trying to get us to buy something. Sometimes an author is trying to get us to vote a certain way. So persuading means they're convincing us to try to do something. Inform means they're giving us information, right? That's the base word there. So they're giving us facts, true facts, when an author is writing to inform us. So as we get into nonfiction this week, you're going to see the main book that we're working with about earthquakes is going to give us facts about earthquakes. So the author has written that book to inform us. Authors also write to entertain us, and we most often think of fiction when we're thinking of authors entertaining us. And one of the things we want to keep in mind there is that entertaining can mean everything from the author is writing a funny story to making us laugh. But it can also mean emotions, making us feel emotions that we maybe don't think of as necessarily positive. But there's something in us as readers that we're becoming attached to the characters, or we can't wait to see what's happened, like in a mystery. So authors can, when they're writing to entertain us, there's all sorts of feelings that the reader might be feeling. But we also want to keep in mind that authors can write to compare and also express their feelings. So comparing, I want you to think about when you might be a reader and you're comparing, and you need to read to compare some things. Well, I know that if I am going to be looking to buy a new TV and I want to decide which TV is best for me, I want to read about them, and I want someone who's taken the time to compare the different TVs to each other so I can make the best decision about which one's the best fit for me. And then we also know authors write to express their feelings. And we often see this in poetry, but you may have been an author who has written to express their feelings as well. Maybe you have a diary or a journal that you keep where you write down your thoughts and feelings. So keep in mind that author's purpose is as easy as pie, but we can also add some additional reasons authors write. And this particular acronym spells peace. Okay. So let's take a little bit closer look at each of these. Remember, when an author is writing to persuade, they're trying to convince us. Maybe they're trying to change our thinking, or to spend money, or to get us behind a cause that they really care about, that they want us to also be supporting. Your parents right now are probably being inundated with, because we are in a presidential election year, with all sorts of political writings, speeches, or getting things in the mail that are trying to persuade them to vote for a certain person. Book reviews or movie reviews are a great example of authors writing those things to try to convince us to read their book or to go see their movie. And then, of course, the most perfect example of this is advertisements or commercials. So when you have a commercial pop up on YouTube, they're trying to get you a lot of times to buy something, to spend your hard-earned money. And so we want to recognize those things when we're readers. We want to be aware when authors are trying to persuade us. Authors also write to inform us. So your textbooks in schools are perfect examples of that. Brochures are a great example of authors trying to write to give you information. So if you're exploring a new place, if you're going to a new city, you'll often find a brochure that will explain all the different things you can do in that city. So we often think of nonfiction as the main genre of writing that authors use to inform their readers. We talked a little bit about entertain, and you'll notice there that it does mention your emotions, but that the emotions can be a wide variety of emotions. I don't know about you, but I've read books before that have made me cry. And it's hard to think of that author as writing that to entertain us. But in fact, that means they've done a really good job of making us feel really connected to the characters or the events that are happening in the story, so much that they cause some sort of emotional reaction. You think of certain books that are written to scare you as a reader. I don't personally love reading scary books, but I know a lot of people who do. That's really entertaining for them. So we often think of fiction as a great example of authors writing to entertain. Comparing, we've talked a little bit about that. So if we're looking at two or more things, we want to know how they're alike and how they're different. And that's a really helpful example of how readers can make decisions about things they purchase, or sometimes who they're going to vote for, if we're comparing things and learning how they're the same and how they're different. And then we also talked about how authors can write to express their feelings, and poetry is a great example of that. Another awesome one is songs. So if you think about your favorite song, it's probably written because it was probably written by that person to express their feelings. And you, as the listener, were able to connect in some way to those feelings. So songs are a great example, music writers writing to express their feelings. So what you're going to be doing next is you are going to be doing a sort, where you're going to sort some examples of writing into the purpose that they serve. So think about why the author has written each of the examples of writing and sort that into the correct category. Thank you.